Changes at Notre Dame, not necessarily where you would expect them from a program that's reached the college football playoffs twice in the past 3 seasons, but we will get the word from John Kennedy on Always Irish. You can catch him right here on YouTube, so lock it on in for Notre Dame football coverage with John Kennedy at Always Irish. John, how we doing today?
Very well. Good to be with you again, Mark. It's been a while. It's nice to be back.
It's great to have you here. Good to see you. And Notre Dame concluded its spring sessions, and I was a bit surprised to hear what you set me up for before we started to record, and that's, again, for a highly successful program, there is change in the air, and for you and some others who are looking to take that next step, needed changes if you want to accomplish the ultimate goal.
Exactly. And so Notre Dame, I think, is to the point in the Brian Kelly tenure, we're going on a dozen years now, where they're trying to thread this needle. I think they're firmly entrenched in that top of the second tier in the college football pantheon. Couple playoff experiences, undefeated seasons. But when they get against the very best, it hasn't gone well, and it hasn't particularly been close. So you're in this unique position where you could do what you've been doing and go undefeated a couple times, 11-1, whatever. But when you get up against the very elite, we were falling short. So now Notre Dame's trying to thread that needle. Defensively, it's been the strength of the team the last handful of years. So we'll put that aside. We'll get to it later, though. Offensively is where it gets really interesting. Notre Dame's looking at 7 new offensive starters, 4 out of 5 new offensive linemen, and the one guy returning's hurt and hasn't been participating. New quarterback. So there's a lot of moving pieces. What I and a lot of Notre Dame fans were asking for is a more modern, aggressive, offensive philosophy, more attacking, more north-south. More, let's put up a lot of points quick over these plodding drives, that type of thing. So that was always the question. Now we're in a transitional year. New quarterback, new offensive line, replacing a lot. The question this spring was, does Notre Dame also see the need to modernize that offense, get more aggressive? Are they seeing what we're seeing in these big games? Tommy Rees came out, the offensive coordinator, last week, and he said everything you want to hear if you're me. Talking about being more aggressive, getting your playmakers in space one-on-one, better utilization of the running backs and tight ends in the passing game. We have a laundry list of receivers with a lot of potential that we haven't seen yet on the field. Tom Rees spoke to all that and said, this is going to look different group. We have more speed. We could do more things. That's very, very exciting. So that's kind of the setup. The quarterback position is still up in the air. My position is, regardless of how they go with quarterback in this transitional year, if it's set up in a more modern offensive scheme, that's progress to me. You could use this transitional year, get that line more developed, and then you move into the following year where you could figure out your quarterback once the Wisconsin transfer's gone. So that's where we're at, and it's just very exciting to hear that they're on the same page. They see it too. So they're trying to thread that needle.
Got John Kennedy on the line, Always Irish. That's his YouTube stop. You got to catch him right there. Just put it in the search bar, Always Irish. Right, John, that all sounds good. So the first question that I need to ask is, of course, is the personnel in place to make that transition?
That's a key thing to me. I think this quarterback situation, the dynamics of that shifted beyond everybody's control. The original plan was for Tyler Buckner to come in and have a chance as a true freshman to get this starting job. he had a very unlucky run. He lost a season to injury and then his last season to COVID. And so he's lost a couple years, and that set his developmental track kind of a little further back than what Notre Dame wanted. At that point, they became interested in Cone, the transfer from Wisconsin. If they go that way and he's a bridge for this year, I can live with that. You know, there's no development because he's a fifth-year guy. It'll be this year and done. But if he's the guy and that's how they go, I can live with that. He's smart enough and been around enough to distribute, know who needs to get the ball, progressions, that kind of stuff. So I'm having some comfort there as long as we're trying to be more modern to get that going. I think my biggest concern is this reshaped offensive line. When you're replacing 4 out of 5 guys and a couple guys in play for these jobs are youngsters, that makes me nervous, because if there's one thing that could impede trying to install a new offense, it's an offensive line that's running in circles. So that's turning into one of my big focuses, because that could hold up what I want to see develop.
John, if you heard enough out of Tommy Rees to make a determination on what this transition is going to look like, because as you lay it out there, I'm thinking it could take a number of different forms. It could be the same offense, just we're going to call more pass plays and we're going to call more downfield pass plays. It could be a restructuring of the offense. It could be emphasizing different personnel groupings to get bigger receivers off the field faster, not necessarily smaller, but faster receivers on the field. It could be in the recruiting process with getting players that are going to stretch the field more, quarterbacks who are going to be dual threats. There's a number of ways that you can go in regards to how this is going to be implemented and how quickly.
Yep. You just hit on all of it, because all of those factors are naturally in play. Obviously, recruiting more skill talent is the easiest thing to say. But having a quarterback capable of making downfield throws and reads. Ian Book did a lot of great things. That was never one of his natural gifts. So the quarterback piece is one. Recruiting, obviously, is always for everybody a priority. But here's one thing that I do truly believe. I think there is a lot of athletic talent on that offensive side of the ball that we have not seen utilized to its full potential and capability. I think Notre Dame fans might be surprised if they see some of these guys that we've seen in limited fashion or limited by scheme or whatever. Cut it loose a little bit. Let these guys make plays. I think there's a lot more Notre Dame could do with the talent they already have in the building that they just weren't trying to do the last year or two. Now, by no means am I saying Notre Dame should abandon the run game and start throwing the ball all over. Kyron Williams is your ace. You know what you're going to get out of that guy. Use that more wisely. Maybe mixing up your run play, pass play, even just the sequence. There's a lot of things you could do with Kyron Williams in the passing game that they didn't really do last year. Chris Tyree, a yin to that yang at the running back position. There's a lot more they could do with small tweaks, all aiming towards just being a little more aggressive. So that's what I want to see. There's a lot more we could get out of this roster if they really do go with this approach. Now, as I said on my show, though, Mark, I reserve the right against Florida State and Tallahassee week 1 to say, wait a second, this doesn't look like what I was promised. But as a guy always worried, just hearing Rees say, you're going to see some different modern things brings a guy like my blood pressure down just a little bit, just a little.
If we look across college football, we have seen it for the last couple of generations, actually, when there's a new style of offense, it's implemented, it scares a ton of people, it puts defensive coordinators on their heels, everybody catches up to it, then that becomes the standard for the next 10 or 15 years and on and on and on. So when Chip Kelly was doing certain things 10 to 12 years ago, it had defensive coordinators on their heels. We've gotten to a place when it comes to tempo, spread, trying to create matchups in space where pretty much outside of a handful of programs across the country, everybody's trying to do that. How effectively are they doing it? Well, that's based on personnel, of course. We'll get past that because you addressed that. But as we saw in the national championship game in particular, Steve Sarkisian was able to take elite playmakers and do some things that were just beyond the run-of-the-mill, let's space guys out, get 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receiver sets out there, and get them in space, but creating different looks to really trick and fool the defense.
Yeah, well, you know what really caught my attention, Mark? This was probably a month ago. I saw a video of them interviewing Nick Saban, and Nick Saban was talking about even him, with all the talent at his disposal, saying, it just occurred to me we needed to spice up the offense here. You know, the old hand it, run the ball, play good defense is over. We got to get more modern. If it's good enough for Nick Saban, it's good enough for Brian Kelly, okay? So that's kind of the framework. And listen, Mark, Tom Rees is not going to change the world of offensive football. I'm just asking them to jump in the fray of what's modern now. I'm not asking for anything out of this world, but just a little bit more pressing the issue north-south is what I'm asking for. Taking some deep shots, even if you don't hit them, take a couple early in the game to loosen that defense up. Let them know you're not afraid of it. And I think Notre Dame's got some guys that could do it. Last year at that wide receiving group, it was a mash unit. Injuries in Kelly's doghouse for unknown reasons, academic problems. Notre Dame was playing without most of their main wide receiver talent last year. I'm hoping to get those guys going. Get it going early. Let people know we're not afraid to attack you. That's what I'm looking for.
Talking Notre Dame football with John Kennedy from Always Irish. Check out his YouTube channel right here, Always Irish, and check out our new website at voiceofcollegefootball.com as well. Let's switch it on over to the defense, and Marcus Freeman's a rising star. There's no question about that. And even more so, yeah, we know where you stand on this one, John. Cut her loose. Let us know why Marcus Freeman is even beyond what most of us evaluate him to be, which is, again, a rising star in the coaching ranks.
Here's the deal, Mark. I've been around Notre Dame a long time. I know what I'm looking for in a head coach. Marcus Freeman checks all those boxes other than won 5 championships already, okay? Because of his age, that's not practical. He checks every single other box you could possibly want as a Notre Dame fan. The second he walked in the door, he was getting access to a recruit talent pool that I didn't know we had access to. And he's finding ways to get people to open the door, answer the phone. He's aggressive as the day is long. He understands and respects Notre Dame's values and mission statement and can work within that framework. His communication and camaraderie with his players is amazing. You just see it. You see little clips of him at Cincinnati working with the guys. He's got that natural charisma, a natural connection with these players. Maybe it's just because they're younger, they can relate better. But the big thing for me is he looks at recruiting in a way not enough people do at Notre Dame, and it's different, and it stands out to me. He is way, way more aggressive than we are used to, and I love it. So I combine all those factors. Get this guy while he's young. Keep him in your building before everybody else starts calling. I'm on the record. I am totally fine with him as the next head coach, and I'm willing to stake my reputation on it for whatever that's worth. I love the guy. I just love him. He's got the it. You can't measure it, but you know it when you feel it. It's a feel. I just have it for him. He's different, and you notice it right away. I love it. I'm all in. Hashtag the Freeman factor. Give him an under-the-table deal till Kelly's done. Slide him in. His buddy's already coaching the defense, Mike Mickens. He could slide over to the head chair. His buddy Mickens could be D coordinator. Off to the races into modern college football. That's what I want to see. I love him. Absolutely love everything. Love it.
It's a proactive, aggressive approach you've got there. You got the guy in the building who's, 32, 33 years old, something in that range?
No, he's like 36, 37.
36,
yeah.
37.
So he's a little older. I'm figuring 1 or 2 years, people are going to start calling.
Mm-hmm.
You make that deal under the table. You give him millions more to stay another year or two, and you tell him, this is all yours. It's all yours. You'll be the head coach at Notre Dame at 40, and you could do whatever you want. He will already be established. Know how you could recruit, what's not going to fly at Notre Dame, all those things. He's feeling out those kinks now. So nothing's going to be a surprise to him when that time comes. He's going to know what he could do and can't do. He's a good leader, a great gentleman, family guy. The fit for Notre Dame with him is exceptional. He checks all the boxes. Don't let him get out of your building. I'm going to lose it. Notre Dame's got money. I don't care about COVID or not. Notre Dame has the money. You keep that guy in your building. Keep him around.
John, I would like to find a flaw in your thinking so I could create a debate here, but I've got nothing for you because everybody that I talk to concerning Marcus Freeman, and more so just what I've observed and just adding up the resume, speaks to exactly what you're talking about, getting ahead of what's going to be a ton of suitors out there knocking on his door, knocking it down with tons of money here very, very quickly. So good call by you. I like it.
Mark, it's the one angle Notre Dame's never tried. They like these older statesmen that they know are going to speak good in a booster club fundraising event. They go for that. Switch it up. Go with the polished young guy, the hot and coming up guy, the guy with the energy everybody wants to play for. I'm all in on this guy. All in.
And he is smart enough to know when he's talking to the 18-year-old recruit and when he's talking to the 60-something boosters. He knows how to work a room and can observe what the temperature of the room is.
Mark, he's got that polish. I'm all in on him.
Yeah, you gave great specifics to what I think works for him. It's number one, potential players, recruits, they want to know that the guy is credible. He knows his stuff. He knows football. He knows what he's doing. He's a winner. He's a champion. He can do all those things and take us as a team and me as a player, develop me so he knows the nuts and bolts. Number two, he can be trusted. I am going to entrust my next 4 years, 3 to 4 years with this individual, and he has gotten through in that sense as well. And then thirdly, relatable because of the age, because he played on a big stage in a big program for a number of different reasons. He's relatable, and the student athletes are definitely attracted to what Marcus Freeman brings.
Yeah, and you know what, Mark? I respect this about him too. Notre Dame's defense has been the strength of the team the last handful of years. He didn't come in there and say, we got to blow all this up. He came in there and says, what you're doing is working really well. We're going to make it even better. We're going to make it you to have more freedom within this scheme to use your instincts and make plays, keep the 4-2-5 base, So he's not coming in there blowing everything up because there's no reason to. But he's going to make it better, and he's going to recruit better. And everybody seems to love him. The players are saying they just love dealing with him. He's my next head coach, Mark, period.
John, the spring session's in the books. Whether you go to the offense or the defense or both, who did you hear about? Who did you see that you really like? Even more so today than you did a month ago.
You know what I want to see? I want to see these wide receivers that have been hyped up the last 2 years. I want to see them actually do it on the field, because that's a big key to getting this offense where it needs to go. I believe defensively, they've recruited well enough, especially up front, that they're going to be really solid. There's some questions in the back end of that secondary. But offensively, it's time for this potential to show up on the field. And so I want to see these guys that have been around, got a lot of hype, finally deliver consistently week in, week out. Braden Lenzy, all his speed, I want to see it used. Kevin Austin, in trouble, hurt, whatever. We got to see it. I'm ready to see it. There's some young guys. Whoever makes plays should play. I don't care how old you are. So I need to see that potential translate on the field finally.
Please like the video, share the videos out on social media, and subscribe right here. And Notre Dame fans, if you haven't already, I shouldn't even say it, head on over to Always Irish. And you know what? College football fans in general, if you consider yourself a fan of the sport, lock in on the top teams, the top programs in the nation, still get on over to Always Irish. You can hear the obvious knowledge. You can see the passion. Love what John does over there at Always Irish. John, we always appreciate you stopping by. You got anything else for us?
That's about it. You just hope for no injuries in the blue and gold game. That's my big thing. You know, those spring games, Mark, I struggle. The offense does good, and then you think the defense is terrible. The defense does good, you think the offense is terrible. It's about equal. You think nobody's any good. So I just hope for no injuries, nothing stupid happening in the spring game. That's what I'm looking for.
And John, I'll take a stab at this. For the side that's not doing well, I'm guessing that's the one you're looking at saying, uh-oh, we got to fix this. We got to get this fixed. What's going on?
Mark, I am a long-time glass half empty type of guy. You work from the worst case scenario, and anything better than that makes you feel good.
All right, John, we appreciate you stopping by as always, man.
Thanks, Mark.